a year on advertising and promotion, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. Consequently, they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Dial pound 250 and say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Catch Telestrator Tuesday weekly on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, where Stink or Stoke dive into the past weekend's games with a coach's eye, using insights into what went right and wrong on critical plays. Telestrator Tuesdays, powered by Colorado Credit Union. Love where you live, love where you bank.
Mike Evans here for Copperhead Plumbing. Your home doesn't have to flood before you know there's a problem. With the Mow and Flow Smart Water Shutoff System, you can monitor your home's water usage in real time right from your phone. You'll get notified the moment a leak starts. Trust Copperhead Plumbing for professional installation. Ask about installing a Mow and Flow system today.
Copperhead Plumbing, built to last. Call us once, you'll forget the past.
Copperhead Plumbing. They plumb different. They plumb custom.
Marketing can feel overwhelming. Where to start? What works? What doesn't? That's where your marketing experts at DenverSports come in. Audio, video, online marketing, and we know how to cut through the noise so your customers finally hear your story. You don't have to waste time guessing or spinning your wheels. We'll guide you with a proven plan that turns your marketing into growth. Let us handle the hard part. You do the easy part. Head over to DenverSports.com and click Advertise with Us and start growing your business today.
Stink here, and Bonnie says O'Meara has 1,000 vehicles, including cars, trucks, and SUVs.
Right now, the lowest lease payments ever on trucks, like Ford Bronco, $479, or Ford F-150, $449, and 0% interest is available.
So, 1,000 vehicles to choose from, low lease payments, and 0% interest.
That's right. Lease a Ford Bronco, $479 a month, or Ford F-150, $449 a month. At O'Meara, we make it fast, fun, and easy. O'MearaFord.com.
Stock SKE 30950, 25 Ford F-150. Stock SLB 13753, 25 Broncos. See website for complete details.
Get the lowest prices of the year on everything diamond at Williams Jewelers. Shop the largest selection of gorgeous loose GIE diamonds. Every shape, every size, and price range. But hurry, it all ends Saturday at 5 p.m.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports. From your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
It is Denver Sports Tonight. I am Jake Shapiro alongside Dante Gomez, rocking with you for this hour on a Wednesday evening, and I don't know, it's not been a thrill for Bo Nix, Dante, and I'm getting concerned. I was talking on Twitter the other day. I was ready to buy Bo Nix stock. I was ready to take everyone else's Bo Nix stock, and I got to be honest, I'm getting a little concerned that the franchise quarterback for the Denver Broncos might not actually be a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's a fair concern to have. I mean, you go to the playoffs in year one and you think, oh, it's all uphill from here. And it still might be. I think it's still very early in this season, so it could end up being that, the Broncos are back in the playoffs. Maybe they take a step forward and even win a game this time. So when you say concerned, though, does that mean you're concerned, like, obviously you wouldn't give him like a $100 million contract today for the offseason, or are you concerned that he might not even be the starting quarterback come 2026?
I don't know if I'm going as far as not the starting quarterback for 2026, but you look at some of the data, and Pro Football Focus has been pretty consistent in ranking him the worst quarterback in the NFL, or the worst regularly starting quarterback in the NFL. And you oppose that with what people in the game have thought for a long time, which is, oh, Bo Nix could be somewhat of a Drew Brees type, or a player like Drew Brees. I've heard both things. I've heard the most extreme versions of Bo Nix left and right. So if he's truly the worst quarterback in the NFL, which I don't believe he is, Jared Stidham would be carrying this team right now to a better result than Bo Nix. And I don't think that that is true. I don't think that Bo Nix is going to be beaten out for the job by any time this year. So when it comes to 2026, Dante, I don't get how the Broncos are going to land a better quarterback than Bo Nix. Maybe they have such a bad year this year and they say, okay, we've got to address the quarterback situation. But we played the game of quarterback roulette in Denver for years. And I don't envision them drafting a quarterback in the first round with this draft class not even being that good of a quarterback draft class. So I think Bo Nix is probably the starter here, at least for the next 2 years, unless something drastic happens.
Yeah, I think you have to write it out at least, and I think you have to know. You have to have the answer to the question, is he the guy? And I think if he's not the starting quarterback next year, that leaves the water a little murky, at least, where it's like, hey, there was still maybe some potential in there that we didn't quite get. And I think the Panthers are doing kind of a similar thing where they did bench Bryce Young, and now he's back out there, and now they're realizing, oh, maybe he's not the guy. But at least you need an answer to that question. Yeah, I mean, you could always go for one of the backups you see out there, like a Kirk Cousins. I don't know if that interests you at all, or, Carson Wentz looked all right for the Vikings.
I don't know. 40-year-old Kirk Cousins doesn't raise my eyebrow, but hey, maybe Kyler Murray on a second go-around without being in Arizona. That's a guy that I think is on his last legs there in Arizona. There's some guys around the league, no doubt about it. I mean, look at Sam Darnold. I think he's always been a good quarterback. I watched him at USC play Colorado, and he's finally getting opportunities, and he looks pretty solid. He looks at least like a capable NFL quarterback. I don't know if bringing in Tua or someone like that, like one of those quarterbacks, is really going to be the solution, but I'm with you. I think you got to give Bo Nix every chance in the world to fail before you say it's a failure. He was a first-round pick. You have to prove that the first-round pick was useless before you prove to move on from it. So I'm not even saying that. Like, I believe Bo Nix is probably a quarterback in the NFL. Like, I believe he should be in the NFL. The question to me is, why isn't this offense humming like it should be? You spent a second-round pick to get Sean Payton in here. You spent a first-round pick to make Bo Nix the quarterback. Yeah, I think there's a lack of weapons across this offense, but the running back room should be better. Like, it is pretty solid, at least from a talent standpoint. The offensive line is good. At least that's what we hear consistently. The wide receivers are okay. If Evan Ingram's out there, they have a tight end that's an NFL tight end. Of course, some of those things haven't happened, but this offense has not looked good, and it was straight up lousy, except for a couple minutes during that Chargers game.
Yeah, no, it's just been a roller coaster. Not even a roller coaster. It's just been a lot of bad football out of this offense so far this year. Real quick, I want to go back to the Bo Nix. Yeah. Maybe could be the guy, could not be the guy. Is there a number, or is there anything you want to see exactly that? I know we had on the midday show, Josh Dover said he needs to see 2 playoff wins before the end of next season. So that was his bar to know that Bo Nix is the guy. Is there a tangible number or anything like that you'd want to see to determine if Bo Nix is the franchise quarterback for the Broncos?
When I hear that from Dover, my initial reaction is, wow, that's pretty lofty. But then I'm thinking about it, if they go and win one playoff game, there are teams who have won playoff games with their backup quarterback. If you win 2, that's not a mistake. I just don't know that the Broncos are getting there, particularly when their projection now is about 8.5 wins on the season. I personally still think they're probably a playoff team. They're going to get there. I don't know that they're going to have home field, which means it's going to be tough sledding, and they're probably going to be in a situation like Buffalo last year where everything's going against them. So that means next year they're going to the AFC Championship game.
Do you think that's a fair bar at least, or do you think it's a little lofty still?
It's a tad bit lofty, but I think it's probably the best number because I'm sitting here and it's like, okay, well, what if he throws for, 40 touchdowns? What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Did he throw for 40 touchdowns and 30 picks like Jameis Winston? Because right now, Dante, if he throws for 40 touchdowns, the rate he's throwing interceptions, he would throw for 30 picks. He's got 3 interceptions and 5 touchdowns on the year, and he's got that fumble too. He is not taking care of the ball. So the thing that makes Bo Nix, to me, a viable NFL quarterback for the long-term future is that he can be Kirk Cousins-y. He can be a game manager that occasionally has that one breakout play. And, he also has legs, unlike Cousins. I've said since the first day Bo Nix was drafted, and as someone who watched him play Colorado at Oregon, I thought the high point for Bo Nix was to be about the 12th to 9th best quarterback in the league, and that's if everything broke right. And people last year thought I was crazy because Bo Nix looked like the truth, right? Now I'm saying 9 to 12 range as the best case scenario. You're probably taking that as a Denver Broncos fan.
Yeah, no, I think at this point a lot of people would take that, and I'm with you. I don't think he's ever going to be able to, maybe future down the road in his career, but I don't think he's ever going to be the guy that makes the team around him that much better. I don't think he takes them to a new level, but I think if you have the pieces around him, he can be a very solid quarterback, maybe like a Brock Purdy kind of type, where it's like, hey, he can press all the right buttons. He's not going to turn it over that much. He can throw for touchdowns. He can run and, extend plays, extend drives with some first downs. And I know people aren't that high on Brock Purdy a lot of times. They're like, oh, it's all, it's a product of the system. He's in the Kyle Shanahan system. He's got a great running back in McCaffrey. He's got a great tight end in Kittle. Let's see what he is without the weapons. I think Bo Nix high end is kind of the Brock Purdy route.
So high end, he's the last pick in the NFL draft from a couple of years ago.
Well, high end, he's starting in a Super Bowl and going to 2 NFC championships. But also that was also part of his career, yes.
Well, what happened with Brock Purdy and the Niners this year, Dante? They paid him. And they got a lot less talent everywhere else, right? Denver's benefited. Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga coming to Denver from that.
They are 3-0 and winning the division right now.
Yeah, you're putting holes in my argument. I
appreciate
that, but,
sorry, don't let the truth get in the way of your narrative. My apologies.
Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. But my point being is, with being the 9th to 12th best quarterback, is you're probably going to pay him because you're not going to do better on the open market than finding a guy like that. And that's, again, best case scenario. Middle range is he's probably middle of the pack, somewhere between 15 and 18. And you still probably aren't getting rid of that guy. You're probably paying him. Maybe you're not making him the next highest paid quarterback ever, but you're paying him. And I think the moment the Broncos pay Bo Nix, their championship window closes. Because Bo Nix is not a guy, in my opinion, that is going to win you football games. Bo Nix is a guy that can help your team win football games, but he doesn't elevate your team. He's never going to be one of those elite players. And only a couple quarterbacks in the league have proven that they can go out and win while making a giant amount of money. Most of the teams in the NFL, they're getting by with quarterbacks not making much money, like the 49ers the last couple years. Early on, the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. It's been a struggle since, even though they keep getting to the Super Bowl. They have a lot less talent. But that's the point.
You're paying them to elevate the offense. You're paying, like in Mahomes' case, you're paying them to do a lot, go to the Super Bowl with not a lot around you in terms of great defense. They paid the defense, and, Spags is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, but not a lot of talent around Patrick Mahomes on the offense. But that's why you pay them. You pay them to elevate those kind of guys. And, Brock Purdy, we saw, didn't get paid. He's not a top, 3 paid guy in the NFL. So there is a middle ground of contracts. Baker Mayfield, he didn't get top 3 money, but he got good money. And he I think Bo Nix could be a Baker Mayfield.
Heck, if you told me the last 2 years of Baker Mayfield is what Bo Nix is going to look like 3 to 4 years from now, I'm taking that 100 times out of 100.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's what Sean Payton hopes Bo Nix can kind of turn into. And, and Baker Mayfield has expanded in that role the last 2 years, where I believe he has the most touchdown throws the last 2 years, or maybe most yards, or he's a top 3 guy in a lot of categories if you just take the last 2 seasons out, or only take the last 2 seasons. So I think, again, he's never going to be the most talented guy. He's never going to be Patrick Mahomes. He's never going to be Josh Allen. But I think there is a middle ground there, and hopefully they're able to work it out where, yeah, he's got a great offensive mind and Sean Payton around him. And, if they don't pay Bo this crazy amount of money, they will be able to build around him and have a solid offensive line like they do, have a solid running back room like they do now. But it's got to be better than what we've seen, and I think we're both on the same page of we do expect it, and we do think it's going that direction of he'll be better throughout the rest of the season than what we saw so far.
Yeah, and there's some things that lend me to believe that it's going to get better, right? Like the sack numbers are still really low, which is encouraging because that is a quarterback stat mostly. The rushing numbers, when Bo Nix has gotten a chance to rush, are okay. The turnover numbers are really bad. So if you say, okay, we're going to get a little better turnover luck, things should shift for the Broncos, because if you look at the turnover battle, the Broncos probably won the game they should have lost and lost the 2 games they should have won, right? Like, that's kind of how the turnover battle would have played out. But there is still one concerning thing to me about the way the Denver offense is conducting, and particularly with Bo Nix right now. Dante, if I were to tell you where Bo Nix's completion percentage ranks through 3 weeks of NFL play. And there's a couple quarterbacks in here who have only played once because of injuries, whether it be Brock Purdy or Marcus Mariota. So counting every quarterback who has started and played at least one game, where do you think Bo Nix ranks right now in completion percentage in the NFL?
Well, the fact that you had to throw in extra guys makes me think it's potentially below 30, but I would expect him, just completion percentage, to be 16 or above, especially with this kind of offense, the short amount of throws. Sean Payton hopefully teeing you up for success. Bo Nix, that was one of his big talents coming out of the draft. He's very accurate with the ball. Yeah, he doesn't have the biggest arm. He's got a good enough arm, a plus arm, but not a Josh Allen kind of arm. But his real, badge of honor coming out of the draft was his accuracy with the ball. So I'd expect 16 or better, and hopefully closer to like 10 or better.
Yeah, and you're painting a great picture because he led the Pac-12 in completion percentage his fourth year of college at 72%. His senior year, his final year of college, was 77.4%, leading the country. And as you pointed out, even in the NFL, he is throwing a lot within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, either behind or in front of, which should make for some easy tosses. And that's what we've seen from the Broncos offense, except for some deep shots, which were wide open, which he didn't connect on. You still have the range right. He's at 19 right now. But his completion percentage is 64%, which is 2% down from last year. And again, it's really early on a rate stat like that. But to me, that's starting to be a red flag.
Well, it's not that early on. We're 3 games in at this point. I feel like at some point you got to say, we're into the season. I don't know. Am I wrong on that? At what point in the season are you saying, hey, it's not early on anymore?
I guess we're about a quarter way through the season, so probably now. We've gotten some good data on it. I mean, heck, Mac Jones has the same as the better completion percentage than Bo Nix at 66%.
And Mac Jones wasn't overly impressed. I watched that whole game simultaneously with the Broncos game. Mac Jones wasn't overly impressive. He was fine. It was good backup. He felt decent about it, but he wasn't. I think they scored 23 points. Or no, not. I don't even know if they got to 20. I think they got like 16 points last week for the Niners. So, yeah, he was not overly impressive. So if you're saying he's around there, that doesn't excite me very much. A guy that's already on his third team in the last, I think, 3 years.
Yeah, and Jake Browning, who has thrown as many interceptions as Bo Nix has touchdowns, 5, and as many touchdowns as Bo Nix has interceptions, 3. So the reverse stat line, he's got a better completion percentage than Bo Nix, even at 68%. And I'm just cherry picking some guys. Marcus Mariota's at 71%. The leader in the NFL, by the way, is Jared Goff at 78%. Drake May's at 73%. So this isn't necessarily indicative of the best quarterbacks, but it is a telltale sign to me because one of the big things that is a positive for Bo Nix, or is supposed to be a positive, is his hit rate and how many completions he makes. And that has not turned out to be true, at least through 3 games so far this season. And to me, that is a red flag.
Yeah, he's not making the layups. And that's what you have to do as a quarterback in the NFL because there's going to be a lot of tough throws you have to make. And, we've seen it with like an Anthony Richardson almost in Indianapolis where, yeah, he can make some of the throws that only like 5 other quarterbacks in the NFL can make, but he doesn't make the layups. And that's the issue. Bo Nix doesn't have the upside of an Anthony Richardson, but his whole thing was he's supposed to make the easy throws. He's supposed to be able to complete these balls and be, a mentally, a level above in terms of almost like in the Peyton Manning vein where he knows what the defense is doing. He's, a step above and he knows where the routes and the openings are going to be. And we haven't really seen that thus far in the season. And if we can keep going on this, but I do have a question about that. Do you put that more on Bo Nix not taking the step we were expecting, or maybe even looking worse than we saw at the end of last year? Or is that Sean Payton not putting him in good positions to succeed?
I mean, it's a little bit of both, obviously. But I still think it's Bo because there are guys that have been schemed wide open that Bo's not hitting. And there have been multiple examples throughout the weeks of guys that were wide open that Bo doesn't even throw the ball to, let alone the missed passes that he's not connecting on guys that he did throw the ball to, right? There's a wide open Marvin Mims on a play. We've seen the viral video from the fan shot at Mile High. There was, I'm forgetting who was schemed wide open on that 4th down in week 2, but that guy was schemed wide open. Bo didn't throw him the ball. He threw the opposite way. They don't end up getting that 4th down. So there have been multiple times where Sean Payton has schemed something that Bo Nix has not hit on. And for me, Dante, I'm not even praising Sean Payton's play calling or scheme necessarily because the run game has not been good. Like Sean Payton is not doing a great job, in my opinion, so far with this offense. But I think it comes back down to Bo because if you're not hitting the layups and the easy plays, that are schemed wide open, it's pretty hard to do the stuff that might be a little bit more muddied.
I actually feel like the running game's been pretty strong for the Broncos so far this year. I think J.K. Dobbins looked really good. I don't think you could have really asked for much more out of Dobbins to this point in the season. I think Harvey has a little bit of room to grow there, and I think that's more just him being a young player, but I think the run game has looked pretty solid so far. To me, the weak point of the offense has been Bo Nix, and maybe if you want to lump in Sean Payton with that in terms of it just looks clunky. They're going to the last seconds of play clocks a lot of time. It's just not in rhythm so far from what we've seen, and hopefully they can figure that out going forward here, and hopefully the Bengals can serve as a get-right game. We saw Carson Wentz tear the Bengals apart, but to me, it really, the offensive struggles come down to Sean Payton and Bo Nix, and that's kind of the end of the list for me. And Evan Ingram's health, and that's it.
And you just mentioned it, the Bengals game, and spinning it forward. If they're not crushing the Bengals on Monday, they've got a problem. Because this should be the get-right game for Bo Nix, given what just happened with the Vikings and Carson Wentz. It also should be the get-right game for the defense, who seems to shoot themselves in the foot, and that's not my quote. That's coming from multiple defenders who have said that throughout the course of the season so far. The defense should be way better. And if you're facing a quarterback who has 5 interceptions through about a week and a half of play, these guys should be hawking the ball on Monday. And they should have something to prove, given that this was the same defense, largely, that got their butts whooped by this Cincinnati team a couple weeks ago, at least in terms of playing time, in their minds, when they faced Cincinnati and had that overtime game. Like, if I'm Riley Moss, I have something to prove. If I'm Barron, I have something to prove of why the Broncos drafted me. Like, I think the defense has something big to prove in that game. I think Bo Nix has something to prove in that game, and it's a real get-right game for the Broncos. It is the biggest get-right game you could possibly have. I'm not calling it a must-win. I'm calling it a get-right game.
I think it is a must-win, though. I think if they lose this one to Cincinnati at home, where the Broncos' defense has looked incredible at home in the last 2 seasons under Sean Payton, they've actually tended to struggle. I know Will Peterson had some stats on that, but if you go back to the last 5 or 6 games on the road, they haven't looked great. I thought they looked okay in Los Angeles, but other than that, the last 5 or 6 road games has not been pretty for that defense. But I'm with you. Riley Moss has something to go out there and prove. Johnny Barron has something to go out and prove, because you are right. They drafted him in the first round, and I think Zach had the stat for during the drive here, but he's played in 25% of defensive snaps. That's not what you're supposed to do with a first-round draft pick. That guy's supposed to step in and make an immediate impact. Haven't really seen it so far. So get-right game, must-win, whatever you want to call it. They're not going to the playoffs if they don't win against Cincinnati, I think. I'm actually taking them in my Survivor League. That's how much trust I put in this Broncos team.
I don't disagree with you on any of it. I will say, if you look at the next 7 games, which is Cincinnati at home, Monday Night Football, short week at Philadelphia, early kick. That's going to be a tough one. Then you're flying to London, playing the Jets. Then you've got the Giants at home, Dallas at home. You travel to Houston, and you're back at home against Las Vegas for that Thursday night game. If you just look at that stretch before your mini bye, the Broncos could realistically, as a 2-2 team, as a 1-2 team right now, end up with 8 wins and 3 losses. There's a real chance at that. Like, what team in there besides Philadelphia scares you? At least to me, there's nobody. Houston's been horrible. That looked like a team that was going to be very good, at least at the start of the season. Cincinnati looked like a team that would be very dangerous. Joe Burrow's gone, right? So, to me, it is incumbent upon the Broncos, not as a must-win this week, but to find a way to 8-3 heading into Kansas City when the Chiefs come here on that Sunday game, November 16th before your bye. I think the Broncos need to be 8-3 because, Dante, from there, it's Kansas City, bye week, Washington, at Vegas, Green Bay, Jacksonville, at Kansas City, Los Angeles. I don't know if you're getting to 10 if you're not at 8 by the time you face Kansas City the first time.
No, I think that's a great point. I think you do have to. I think 8-3 is very realistic too for this team. I think that's a very obtainable bar, but I think that starts with beating Cincinnati on Monday. I don't think you get to 8-3 if they don't beat Cincinnati here. I think there's a lot of problems in Denver. if that is not the case on Monday Night Football, but I do fully expect that to happen. Other teams on that schedule that could, before the bye week or before the before Kansas City in week 11, that would maybe, I think the Giants are somewhat of a live dog. I think they looked okay against the Cowboys. I think they looked okay against Kansas City. And I think Russell Wilson's a big part of why they haven't looked that great.
Who's their quarterback?
Jackson Dart.
Okay.
Dart gives you a better chance to win than Russell Wilson.
You think so?
Yes.
Rookie Jackson Dart going Philadelphia, Denver, Philadelphia.
I think that's the gauntlet for him, but I still think if I'm the Broncos, I would rather face Russell Wilson than Jackson Dart. Russell Wilson's done. He's washed. He can't do anything. He hasn't been able to do anything for the last 2.5 years. So Dart at least is young. He can run the ball. They do throw him in there for some packages when he's doing that read option with Scatterboo or Tyron Tracy if he's healthy by then. So again, I don't think it scares me necessarily, but they should win. But if I could see them tripping up at some point, I think it is that Giants game.
Yeah, and the Giants' defensive front is awesome. Obviously, if anyone on the Broncos' offensive line goes down between now and then, I think that really puts the game into peril because of the Giants' defensive front is that good, and that's what makes them a team that's capable of beating others. I don't take a lot of stock into the Giants-Cowboys game because literally everybody is looking good against the Cowboys' defense this year, and that's going to be, that's my survivor pool game with the Broncos this year. If I were to pick one, it's Broncos at home against the Dallas Cowboys. That might just be a bloodbath. Houston at Houston could be scary, especially if Houston figures out some of their issues by then. But I look at this, and to me, the biggest problem with this part of the schedule is not the actual teams you're playing. It's the logistics of it. You're playing Monday night, then you play Sunday early in the morning, then you're playing in London Sunday even earlier in the morning. Then you're back at a normal time game. So the next 4 weeks of play for the Broncos, you're playing at drastically different times across the board. And I just wonder if their body clocks are going to be ready. I worry a little bit about injuries with that too, Dante. And to me, that's the biggest worry I have about these next 4 weeks. If they go, I expect them to go 3-1. If they don't go 3-1, we're raising the panic alarm here in Denver.
Yeah, and because of the way you lost in Indianapolis and because of the way you lost in LA, they don't have any wiggle room. The wiggle room's gone. If you're 3-0 right now, you could drop one of those and it's fine. It's it's a weird game in London, or at Philly's tough, or Cincinnati is they got great offensive weapons even without Burrow still. But you drop to 1-2, the wiggle room's gone. You got to be, nearly perfect, and that's kind of what we're talking about, being 8-3 going into Kansas City, or hosting Kansas City.
Yeah, hosting Kansas City. We're talking about Hotspur Stadium, Coys, my team out there, the Spurs, Dante's team too.
That's my team too.
Well, we're going to be talking about my real team, my number one team next, and that's the Denver Nuggets, because ESPN rated the top 100 players in the NBA, and there's some fascinating developments with where they think the Denver Nuggets stack up.
To help the Broncos turn things around, does Sean Payton need to simplify things on offense?
Hey, we're trying all this new stuff on offense. How'd that work out? You're 1-2. Hey, we're mixing in a bunch of personnel packages. How'd that work out? It's not working. So if you can simplify things, help out Bo, run the ball just a little bit more, get something from RJ Harvey, you're going to need more contributions from the players and the talent that you've assembled this offseason.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten. Classics are remixed. Bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
Dental phobia? Consider sedation dentistry with Clarkson Dental. Their highly trained team will lead you through an exceptional dental experience from that first fearful call all the way through to aftercare. Call the most experienced sedation dentist and staff. Clarkson Dental, ColoradoSedation.com.
Join Denver Sports 1043 The Fan and Samuel Adams at Mile High Station on Monday, September 29th from 4 to 6:15 p.m. for the Fan Football pregame show. Get your head in the game with orange and blue face painting and ice cold Oktoberfest. See you there.
Hey, want to hear something great? Right now at Wendy's, you can get 2 of the #1 selling bacon cheeseburger in all fast food, the JBC, plus medium fries and a medium soft drink for just $8. Want to hear something else great? Double the burger means double the bacon. Now that's a game changer. 2 of the #1 bacon cheeseburgers with fries and a drink for just $8. Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Request $8 JBC meal deal to obtain discount. Individual items at regular price.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Whether it's kickoff, halftime, or the final drive, fuel your football season at Dickey's Barbecue Pits. Order the 2 can dine for $29.99 deal. 2 meat plates stacked with pit smoke flavor. Or go for the new triple play combo. A classic sandwich, savory side, and a big yellow cup for just $12.99. No matter who you're rooting for, great barbecue is always a win. Dickey's Barbecue Pit, legit. Texas barbecue.
This is Jeff for Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, where we've successfully treated thousands of men for low testosterone and helped them feel like their old selves again. Please take a moment and listen to how we help Greg.
Hi, my name is Greg. I've been a patient of Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic for over 10 years. I noticed that I was really tired. I was lethargic. I didn't sleep really well, and I was overweight. My waist was 4 inches over what it should have been. It was really difficult for me to lose the body shape I didn't like. And of course, my marriage, yes. No man in their 40s wants to have low libido in their marriage. I'm really thankful for this therapy because it just makes me feel the man I want to be, active, at home, everywhere. If you're feeling like I was, call the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic today and get checked. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Thanks, Greg. It's true. Low T therapy will likely change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Ho, ho, ho. Yeah, I know you didn't plan to hear from me this early, but I'm tired of lugging this bowl full of jelly around. That's why me and Mrs. Claus are with Soda Weight Loss now. I'm losing 6 pounds a week. My knees are loving my results, and I'm keeping up with the elves again. And the wife? She's all about this healthier me. Keeps telling me I'm slaying.
Ready to slay all those holiday pictures? Get photo ready and join Soda Weight Loss right now. When you join, your partner joins for free.
With all the weight I've been losing with Soda Weight Loss, they're gonna have to make a whole new Santa suit for the big ride.
Real support and help from nutritionists who are just a call or text away. Take advantage of Soda Weight Loss's partner program. Visit sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 1043 The Fan.
Denver Sports Tonight, and ESPN has been rolling out their top 100 NBA player ranks of the season coming into 25-26. I don't love the list overall. I like the one the Ringer does normally a little bit better. And for instance, I'll just start with this one, non-Nuggets related. Joel Embiid comes in at 47, Dante. And I've been a big critic of Joel Embiid. There's no doubt about it. But there's only two ways you can go with Joel Embiid, which is what he was ranked last year in the top 10 as 8, or not in the top 100 at all because he doesn't play. There's no world in which Joel Embiid is equivalent to Mikal Bridges and Rudy Gobert, which are right next to him. He is either way better or way worse.
I think that's fair, but if you want to look at it the other way, being top 10 and being unranked, you find the middle ground, it's about 47.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. I don't love this list, but I did love...
But I am with you on the list. ESPN doesn't usually do the better list. The Ringer, I would say, is a little more accurate in my opinion.
Yeah, but I'm loving where the Nuggets placed on this list because there are going to be 6 top 100 Nuggets, at least assuming Nikola Jokic is in the top 10, which I'm going to guess he's in the top 10. That should come out tomorrow. And that's among the most in the league. I think the Thunder are the only team with more. I haven't done all of the tabulations on it. But the gap between number 1 and number 2 on the Nuggets is going to be huge, whereas the number 2 player on the Oklahoma City Thunder, Jalen Williams, was ranked 11, and I'm looking where Chet Holmgren is right now. It's a lot higher. It's 24. So the Thunder have a couple players ranked ahead of Jamal Murray in that gap between Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, but there's actually someone from the Nuggets ranked ahead of Jamal Murray, and that's Aaron Gordon, who came in at 40. And to me, this is the most interesting part of the list that they've revealed so far, is they had Aaron Gordon above Jamal Murray.
Yeah, or is that the new the dynamic duo? And when people talk about the big twos and Batman and Robins around the NBA, I think Jamal Murray might have lost his Robin status. I think it's Aaron Gordon now. I agree with the list. I would rather have Aaron Gordon on my basketball team than Jamal Murray.
I don't necessarily disagree, but functionally as a basketball team, you need a guard more than you need a forward to go with your big man. But it is indisputable that the best pairing the Denver Nuggets have ever had in their front court is Aaron and Nikola. Similarly, the best two-man pairing they've ever had on their team in their franchise's history is Jamal and Nikola. So can they make those two-man pairings a three-man pairing is the question, which is something they've done in the past, but last year it didn't seem like they could get all the parts going at the exact same time. When it did, it was beautiful. AG last year was 49th. He rises up to 40. Jamal was the only faller on this list. Last year was at 31. Goes down to 46. He actually had a better regular season last year than almost any year in his career. He was really good in the regular season. But the playoffs left a sour taste in everyone's mouth, and I get it. But if you look at the matchups the Denver Nuggets have had in the playoffs the last couple years, they were specifically designed to break Jamal Murray down, and the Nuggets didn't really have another release valve. So I can't even necessarily blame Jamal Murray's poor performance against Oklahoma City solely on Jamal Murray, because I think it was a personnel problem from the Nuggets as much as it was Jamal not playing that well.
I agree with you that the Nuggets have had a personnel problem with maybe putting the ball in Murray's hands too often in the playoffs and not having a second option in terms of trying to break these high-pressure defenses in the Timberwolves and the Thunder. And you're right, they do match up well against Jamal Murray with Jamal Murray's maybe lack of explosion the last couple years.
Even Chris Dunn with the Clippers matched up with Jamal really well.
That is correct. Yeah, I actually forgot about the Clippers series as well. But dude, you're getting paid a max contract. The max contract, when you sign a guy to that, it's, hey, you're going to perform no matter who we're playing. It's not like, oh, you're going to be great unless we're playing, X, Y, and Z teams in the playoffs. You got to perform, dude. You're getting paid. You're supposed to be the number 2 on the team. You're getting paid very well. You are at one point thought of as a top 20 player in the NBA. Top 20 players in the NBA, there is no, bad matchup night. It's, hey, you got to go out and do your job regardless. And I'm okay with Jamal Murray falling in the rankings. I think it's probably still a little low for him, but it's not too far off in my book.
Every guy in the top 50 is on a max contract, by the way, except for the younger ones who are not yet eligible for max contracts, or somebody like Ivica Zubac, who has blossomed into a player later on in his career that went from being a role player to a greater player. So, for me, I'm still taking Jamal Murray over number 43 on this list, Lauri Markkanen. At least I am. at least for what the Denver Nuggets need.
I was going to say fit-wise, obviously that comes into it a lot there. I think they're pretty similar tier, though, just in terms of who they are as a player.
And I don't disagree. Like, I'd way rather have Lauri Markkanen than Michael Porter Jr. But we're at the point now with this list where, like, De'Aaron Fox is getting a lot more love than Jamal Murray. And I don't know if anyone saw De'Aaron Fox's season last year, but it was a lot rougher than Jamal Murray. Fox came in at 35. He was 26th last year. So I'm not going to completely, poke holes in these ratings. Ja Morant's at 33. Ja Morant was a disaster last season. So, there's guys on this list that are, it almost feels like this list is like a year too late in the rankings. Like, we're a year behind. Like, this is based off of going into last season almost as much as it is going into this season, because I have Jamal Murray at about, in my personal list, somewhere between 35 and 45. I actually don't have a problem with where the rating is. But some of the guys that are in front of him versus some of the guys that are behind him, I would change. I'd probably take Jalen Suggs over Jamal Murray at this point. I wouldn't take De'Aaron Fox over Jamal Murray at this point. So there's some interesting ones on this list, no doubt. But the biggest news, at least from
real quick, it sounds like you're about to transition to a different player. Real quick with Jamal Murray, where do you expect him to be on the list come next year?
If the Nuggets win a title, I'd expect him to be somewhere between 22 and 27.
Okay, let's say they don't win a title, but they have a very good season. They're second in the West in wins. They win upwards of 55 games, and maybe they lose in the Western Conference Finals.
33.
Okay. But you expect them to... So do you think it's more based on team success then than actual Jamal Murray success?
Given the fact that the Thunder are
Or do you
everywhere.
think it's chicken and egg where Jamal Murray's success leads to team success? Sorry.
I don't think the Nuggets are going anywhere this year unless Jamal Murray is kind of like an all-star level player like he has been in the past, which is when the Nuggets are at their best. And I think having Cam Johnson on the team is going to help allow Jamal Murray to be at that level, and the amount of bench talent that they have on this team compared to the past with Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Jonas Valanciunas to a certain extent even, taking away some of the pressure from Jamal Murray, that's going to allow him to be more efficient and effective, because that to me is something that has taken a toll in the second half of seasons and into the playoffs on Jamal, is he just simply didn't have the legs to keep going. So I think Jamal, even if he's not an all-star, is going to be back to that caliber of player. Like, I'm buying all the Jamal Murray stock right now at 47 or 46, wherever he is, because I think he truly should be, after this season, somewhere in the top 30. Worst case scenario, probably about 33, 35. But I believe the Nuggets are going to go to the Western Conference Final, and it's going to be a tough series against the Oklahoma City Thunder. What's going to happen? I can't tell you. You got to give me a little bit more time to figure that one out. But I do believe this list is based a lot on team success, as is Jamal Murray's success too. So yes is the answer to your question. And the Nuggets' team success should improve this year because their backup center is higher on this list, Dante, than multiple starters in this league. In fact, many starters, because there's 150 starters in the league, and he's in the top 100. Are you taking Walker Kessler, P.J. Washington, Devin Vassell, Jakob Poeltl, Mitchell Robinson, Naz Reid? No. The ESPN Top 100 is taking Jonas Valanciunas at 87 ahead of all those guys, and that says a lot about the talent the Denver Nuggets have coming off the bench. He is one of the best rebounders in the league. He does so many things, and I think the Denver Nuggets fans are going to love having him here. And also, as a side note, Cam Johnson comes in on the list a little bit ahead of Michael Porter Jr. at number 67, MPJ number 70. So the Nuggets, at least on paper, according to this ESPN Top 100, have made drastic strides forward. It's something we'll be talking about on the Mile High Hoops podcast all season long. But next, we got to talk about some October baseball. It's right around the corner, and I'm getting updates on my phone as the playoff picture shifts every second.
Just a month into the NFL season, have the Broncos already found themselves on the outside looking in?
A lot of football left, but AFC West is gone. There's no chance that they can win the AFC West. Can you still make the playoffs? Can you still have a good season? Yeah, but you got to learn how to hit wide open receivers, and you got to learn how to close out games if you're the defense.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hey guys, your boy Steve here today about my long-term buddy Troy Hansford. And if you're thinking about selling your house for any reason, now might be the time to sell, still get top dollar. Believe it or not, my guy Troy is still offering his $5,000 guarantee. What is it, you ask? Well, if you can't sell your house at your price on your timeline that you agree upon beforehand, bam, going to cut you a check for $5,000. Who else makes the offer? Nobody I've ever heard of, and he makes that offer because he continues to spend a ton of money marketing his listings, has about 100 families approved and ready to buy right now. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy can buy your house, all cash, and he can close in as little as 7 days. You have a house to sell, Troy probably has that perfect buyer for you right now, waiting for you to pick up the phone and to call him. Call Troy, get your home sold for the most money. That's 720-944-33, 720-944-33. Troy Hansford of RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions do apply. Want to sell your house? Then call my buddy Troy, 720-900-4433.
Wow, Leslie, your fireplace really sucks.
I beg your pardon?
Well, what I mean is your fireplace is literally sucking all the air out of your house and right up the chimney every time you burn it.
Well, what can I do about it?
Well, you could get a high-efficiency gas insert from Cozy Heat. It keeps all the air you already pay the utility company to heat, and it returns up to 80% of the fire's heat back into your house.
I'd use my fireplace every chance I get if I could do that. Maybe my furnace wouldn't need to run so much.
Well, that's the whole point. Hi, this is Keith Lair with Lair Fireplace and Patio, along with my niece Leslie, to tell you how a gas insert from Cozy Heat will give you the incentive to use your fireplace again. Cozy Heat gas fireplaces and inserts are made to crank out the heat with beauty and style.
Lair's is Denver's oldest, most trusted name in fireplaces. Family owned and operated since 1954.
We'll even give you a free in-home quote, including expert installation by our own certified in-house installers.
Find us on the web at lairfireplacepatio.com.
For top quality Cozy Heat fireplaces and inserts, it's Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's fireplace experts.
Dan Jacobs with 303 Law 4040. It's football season, and did you know that I am the reigning fan staff champion in the King Supers Football Pick'em? Yep, Stokely, Schlereth, Zachby, Cecil Lemmy, none of them can hang with the judge when it comes to football. Just like those made-for-TV lawyers can't hang with me in the courtroom. When you've been hurt in a car accident, you want the real deal, which is what you get when you call 303 Law 4040. Not some made-for-TV character. When you call 303 Law 4040, you speak directly with me or my lovely wife, Kimberly, not some call center overseas. And you get to meet with us in person for free. We never take a dime unless we win for you. Plus, no ridiculous fees like those TV characters. You were the one that was hurt, so the doctors and the lawyers shouldn't take all the money. So go ahead, save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. It's 303 Law 4040, 303 Law 4040.
Hi, I'm Michael from the War and Treaty. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. Only Novo Nordisk makes FDA-approved Ozempic. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5 milligram, 1 milligram, and 2 milligrams.
Life doesn't wait, and neither should you. Aleve can help you deal with pain less throughout your day. Whether it's a long day on your feet, a demanding workout, or everyday aches and pains, you need relief that can keep up when pain persists. Aleve is here for you with longer-lasting body pain relief compared to leading OTC branded pain relievers. With just one pill, Aleve lasts up to 12 hours. Don't let those aches hold you back from doing what's important to you. Use as directed.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Mom, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotion. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. Consequently, they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Dial pound 250 and say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Football is back, and it's time for you to get in the game. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan is here to help, and we're giving away a PlayStation 5 bundle. Download the Denver Sports app and tap the contest banner on the homepage for your chance to win a PS5 console, a 70-inch flat screen TV, plus copies of Madden 26 and College Football 26. Don't wait. Download the Denver Sports app now. 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents
And as of today, there are some really good matchups in baseball. If the postseason picture played out like this, we could see Detroit and Cleveland play in the first round after their incredible AL Central chase has flipped hands here in the last couple days. Detroit had a giant lead, and now they would be on the road for the wild card series at Cleveland, who would be the winners of the AL Central. That race will be determined in the next couple days. We would have Boston, New York in the wild card. Seattle and Toronto, really good teams. They would have the byes. Then on the National League side of things, we would have New York versus Los Angeles, San Diego versus Chicago, with the winners taking on Philadelphia and Milwaukee. Some really marquee franchises. Obviously, last year we had Yankees and Dodgers World Series, which was a lot of fun. And I know, a lot of people in this market don't root for either team, but just as a baseball fan, it was a lot of fun. I obviously don't root for either team. And it delivered from that first World Series game with Freddie Freeman hitting the walk-off grand slam. And this year, I could see a baseball postseason picture being just absolutely magical. How about you, Dante? Because I'm loving what I'm seeing right now out of what could happen in the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. And it's one of those weird years, and we saw it last year, and to be honest, it might be a trend going forward here. We might not see a team win 100 games this year, I'm sure you're pretty familiar with MLB history here. That doesn't happen very often. We always have dominant teams, whether it's the Dodgers winning 110 games or, the Giants won 107 games a couple years ago, or the Yankees, whoever it is, whoever the dominant team is at the time, they're going to win 105 plus usually, and we're just not seeing that this year, which makes me feel like it's wide open, and, it could very well change. Maybe we get, Yankees, Dodgers again, and it's like, okay, well, maybe they're just saving it all for the playoffs, but to me, it feels like it's wide open in the playoffs. I mean, in the AL, at noon yesterday, there's 6 games left in the season. Only one team had clinched the playoffs yesterday at noon, and it was the Toronto Blue Jays. Everyone else was still looking to clinch their playoff spot. Since then, the Yankees have clinched and the Mariners have clinched. But again, that just speaks to how open the playoff race is this year, and how teams are still fighting for home field advantage in the first rounds, or avoiding playing in the wild card round and getting that bye. So I think we're in for a great October, and we got some marquee teams in there. We got some new blood in there. The Mariners had a great season. I'm excited to see what Seattle can do. Hopefully they can win their first playoff series in a very long time. The Cubs are back in it after being out for a while, and it's always fun when teams like the Red Sox are in it, when teams like the Red Sox and Cubs are back in the mix, because those parks are just electric come October.
Yeah, that would be really fun. And as you mentioned, the American League, Boston, Detroit, and Houston all separated by 2 games with just a couple games left to go in the regular season. Milwaukee at 96 wins would have to win, I think, 4 of their final 5 or 6 games to get to that 100-win mark. And Arizona and Cincinnati still fighting with the New York Mets for the final wild card spot. That game's going on right now. The New York Mets are playing. So this season's coming down to the wire, and I'm just fascinated to see how this plays out, because I love the baseball postseason. It's one of my favorite sporting events of the year. And in my opinion, it is wide open, like you said, Dante. And I think this has been incentivized by Major League Baseball with a lot of the rules that have come down with the expansion of the wild card. It doesn't really behoove teams that much to be that much better than a wild card team. There isn't that much of a benefit to winning 83 games versus 107 games. There's not much of a difference. So why spend the extra money to be a 107-game winner when you could go home on Wild Card weekend if things just don't break your direction? So because of that, there is a lot of parity, at least at the top, which I'm not the biggest fan of parity in sports, but it will make this postseason picture pretty wild, and I could see any number of things happening with any number of the teams. I will tell you, the team I think is the best in baseball and has been all season long is the Milwaukee Brewers, and they've been hot the entire second half. I don't know if their lineup's good enough to actually win the World Series. Their pitching certainly is. But you look at Toronto and Seattle in the American League, and both those teams have some absolute stars between Vladdy Jr. and Julio Rodriguez. So I don't even know if I have a pick for you right now because everything can change from today to tomorrow the way this is going on. But do you got a pick? Are you favoring anyone? Do you have any coins in the game?
I'm going to go with, okay. I think it'll end up being, which they've kind of fell apart recently, I like Tigers and Dodgers. I'm going to go Dodgers/Padres. I think both teams are really good. I think I think they might end up facing each other, whether it's the divisional series, the wild card round, or the CS. But I think I like those teams. I just don't know if I trust Milwaukee to get it done against the best teams. And we're talking about Jamal Murray earlier, where it's like, yeah, he had a great regular season, but then he had some bad matchups. Well, and that's kind of how playoff baseball is, where, hey, you're not hitting home runs off the fourth and fifth starter. You're not hitting home runs off of, the sixth guy out in the bullpen. You're facing good arms throughout the whole series. So right now I'm going to go Tigers and Dodgers/Padres. I will say, though, my preseason prediction of Red Sox-Dodgers still very much alive.
I like that. I think the Dodgers are a lot less good this season than they were last year, but that doesn't mean that they can't win at all. They still have so much talent on that team, especially if you might get 6 innings out of Shohei in a series while he's still batting. That's so valuable to have in the playoffs, just another arm you can throw out there. Even though the Rockies have been rivals of the Dodgers the entire time they've been in existence, if you want to call them a rivalry, because,
Rivalry implies both teams win.
I've loved watching Clayton Kershaw pitch from afar and up close, and it would be cool to see Clayton Kershaw go out with one big postseason moment after all of the failures in his career. I think that would be a really cool storyline, Dante.
Yeah, absolutely full circle, at least for him, and how much he's given to that Dodgers organization. He kind of got clowned for a while there for his postseason, mishaps, and not, it's hard to live up to the expectation of the regular season him because he was so dominant that you come to the playoff and it's like, oh, instead of having a 2 ERA, you got a 4 ERA. It's like, wow, look how bad he is. Still a very good pitcher, and he's done a lot for that organization. And I'm with you. I'm not a big Dodgers guy either, but it would be cool to see him go out on top.
Dante Gomez, Jake Shapiro, Denver Sports Tonight. Make sure you check out all of our content on DenverSports.com.
Like mine, it blow your mind. Does Bo Nix shoulder the most blame for the loss to the Chargers?
Am I pinning it all on Bo? No, but you can't have it both ways. You can't, as a football fan or as a football media, talk endlessly about the importance of the quarterback, and then after a game like this say, well, what do you mean? It wasn't really Bo's fault. Can't have it both ways.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Attention golf lovers, the city of Aurora has you covered this fall. Home to 5 beautiful courses